All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get started with our Super Mario Bros. 3 run here in just a minute. We have, I'm so sorry if I pronounce this wrong, Growlwolf?
You got it.
Hey, love it when I pronounce something correctly because I have been called out a couple times on my pronunciation of a few things. So it's nice when I get one right. So Growlwolf is going to be doing commentary for this race. It's going to be an absolutely amazing race. I'm really looking forward to it, so I can't wait. And we're going to get started here in just a minute with our 3 runners. So we have Stewie Cartman, we have TEEX88, and we have TheHaxor. So 3 amazing runners, so I'm really looking forward to this race. So we're going to be counting them down here in a minute to kick things off.
Absolutely. The racers here that you're going to be seeing are some of the best in the business. We're going to have a great 100% three-way race here. As mentioned before, Stewie Cartman, you're going to find him in the top left. TEEX88 is going to be in the top right, and then the bottom left, TheHaxor. So going to be a great run. It's a wonderful race to watch. Going to be a lot of things that we're going to look out for. I'll be glad to point those out to you as we come to them. And we'll be getting started here in just a moment with World 1. I'd like to take a moment while we're getting set up here to kind of explain what the 100% run is. So with Super Mario Bros. 3, there's a couple of different routes that are used throughout the vanilla version. And I say it like that because there's a lot of different routes that have been added, that have been used, that have been raced, that have been brought forth to the public and are really, really exciting to watch and to see. This being a 100% race actually adds every single element of the game to this race. So things like the action levels that you're used to seeing are going to be very much popular here, and the routes are going to be used on those as well to kind of maximize and optimize the opportunities there. Also, we're going to see every fortress get played. We're going to see the airships, the Hammer Brother fights, the piranha levels and hand traps in World 8. So we're going to see all kinds of strategy. We're going to see anything from inventory usage all the way up to the P-speed strats that are used here being absolutely scrutinized and spotlighted here in such a wonderful, wonderful way. Stay tuned. You're not going to want to miss this. Currently, we've got 1-1 currently getting run through. Stewie Cartman having just a little bit of lag there, but all runners are through World 1 with no trouble at all. World 2 is going to be brought in here, or World 2, I should say, is going to be ran here. And this one's a little bit tricky. I want to point out as the runners are getting their P-speed here, that you actually have to kind of defy the law of gravity in this level just enough to get to the P-speed. At the very beginning of this level, you might have noticed that they all started running just a little bit up the hill as they were, generating the P speed. And then once they got to the top of the hill, you have to have at least 3 arrows, and then you're able to kind of maximize the P speed there. All runners opting to take a mushroom here, as that is the fastest route, and they don't have to waste any time at all. Unfortunately, Stewie Cartman getting the flower there. Usually you'll go for a cutback to kind of minimize that. As Colt mentioned in chat, he was syncing up all 3 runners, so definitely appreciate that. So absolutely, you hate to see it. It is not something that runners want to do, but it's quite all right. It is what it is at this point. So we're now on to 1-4. This is an auto scroller. This is going to be a chance for these runners to kind of pay attention to both their coins and the score. Now, one of the things that's kind of fun in SMB3 as you're playing it through vanilla and, even playing it through the first time is to go ahead and start with, playing a level like this just to get through it, and then also to see if you can trigger the white mushroom house. So in the vanilla game, as we see here, if you get any multiple of 11 with your coins and then the matching number of that in the score, so for example, if you had 22 coins, and you had the score of 20 at the very end, whatever the numbers were, don't matter, and you end the level like that, then you will trigger a white mushroom, or not the white mushroom house, I apologize. You'll actually trigger the airship, the coin ship, and it will turn a Hammer Bro into a coin ship. Since we are playing every Hammer Brother fight, that will actually come back to bite them because that does take a lot longer. All players going into World 1 Fortress. And of course, you do notice that they all have the tail to make Raccoon Mario, and that is so that they can fly up to the beginning or to the top of this world this world's fortress and grab the item there. They will not be using the whistle in this, as it is a 100% race. However, it is quicker than going through Boom Boom and will allow them to get onto World 1-5 much quicker. So all three runners here did in fact opt to take a damage boost through the beginning. That's actually the only way that you can take P speed throughout this level, is to take the damage boost at the very beginning. You actually end up running all the way through all the enemies and are able to take the P speed through the rest of the level, thereby increasing your speed. And we'll see this quite a bit in the run. The wing, or the tail itself, actually does slow you down and goes a little bit weird when it comes to the P speed. It doesn't actually allow you to run quite like it would with a fire flower or with a mushroom as well. So no big deal there. All three runners obviously knowing what they're doing. They're all going to be moving on to the Hammer Brother here and be making their way to World 1 Fortress, or Airship. We're going to be approaching our first Koopaline boss fight, and I want to make a note of this real quick because the bosses are coded with a small handful of fixed fighting patterns. So for example, they may jump the moment you enter into the fight, they may also shoot their wand right away, or they may just walk towards you for a few seconds before doing another action, such as firing the wand, or moving, or jumping, or anything else. And that's all actually coded into the system because it actually changes from when you leave the last level to when you actually enter the pipe. Anything in there will actually change the way that the code works here, and will actually change their their action based on that. So some of the more experienced players, like we might see here, may delay just a moment before going into that last tube to see if they can change the movement there to give them something a little bit more optimal for the fire kill that they're going to be going for. Also worth noting is that all three runners will be going for a majority of fire kills as much as they can, strictly because it is that much faster to do it. You gain about 2 to 3 seconds, depending on the boss that you're taking on, whether it's boss Boom Boom or it's the bosses at the end of the world. That does add up pretty quickly when you compare them all together here. All three of our runners are going to be moving into World 2 here. World 2-1 is pretty straightforward in its execution, but it's going to look like they bump into a brick at the very beginning. The reason for that is they have to have as much of the runway as they can get, and the P-speed happens right there. So even though it looks like they're going to take a hit here, they're actually going to be using that to their advantage and be able to make it through the rest of the level now with their P-speed. All three runners, of course, successful in that, and will be finishing this level pretty quick. Something to note with World 2 is that the World 2 does not typically need a whole lot of fire flowers in terms of beating the levels. It's not necessarily what we would call an optimal strat. However, it does definitely make a big difference when it comes to the World 2 Fortress, which we're going to see here in just a moment as all three players race their way to the fortress. As we said before, the fire kill is going to be a lot quicker, whether it is the Koopaline or it's Boom Boom. Definitely going to make a difference for these runners. Got a little bit of synchronization going on between Stewie and the Haxor as they both enter into World F2 and World 2 Fortress. And TEEX just barely ahead of him. Looks like the Haxor is actually making a comeback here and will be hot on his tail. So there's two tricky parts to this level. The first one is the one where they have to make the meticulous jumps over the ground. The second, of course, is these spikes. You want to make sure you get enough piece to take over them appropriately so you don't take any damage and unfortunately lose the fire flower there. Level 2-3 we are going to see is a wonderful exercise in ensuring that you're able to hit your medium jumps like you're supposed to, because any one of these enemies can definitely give you a bad time, and now TEEX is going to be able to get through here pretty quick. And the Haxor, actually a moment ago, was able to take an early Hammer Bro that may be able to assist him here in the long run, as the Hammer Bros now won't have to take quite as different paths and should hopefully wind up in some 1 and 2 moves for him. One of the fun levels of Super Mario Bros. 3 World 2 is the Angry Sun level. This Angry Sun does not like players running through his desert, and he's going to see what he can do to make them stop. Unfortunately for him, though, those bricks in the middle of the desert will provide just enough space between the player and the sun as he swoops down to provide the sun with no ability to actually hit the player. So they're going to be able to get through this pretty quickly. All 3 players, of course, will. And they'll be moving on to either 2-4 or 2-5, depending on how their Hammer Brother routes work. The Haxor are able to take on his second Hammer Brother, so he'll no longer have to worry about those. Does find the hammer, and he will actually have to use that in this world. Remember, we said that all the action levels are going to be played, all of the Hammer Brothers are going to be defeated, and we're going to see that here, where there's actually one more Hammer Brother in this world that the Haxor hasn't been able to beat yet, because he's behind the rock that you're going to have to destroy and get back and take care of. And he will actually also give you a warp whistle as well, but not going to be used here. We're doing 100%. The Haxor moving on to 2-4. We've got TEEX now taking on the Fire Brother, so he'll get that warp whistle we were just talking about, and will start making his way towards the pyramid. The strats in this pyramid level really are two-tiered at this point. The first is to utilize the shell as closely as possible, because you have a split second according to the game where you're invincible and the shell actually won't hurt you as you're working or as you're throwing it at a wall, so the ricochet won't actually come right back and knock you down. So we'll see that as these players start to run through here. The Haxor are now on to this level as well. He'll be able to kind of, it almost looks like glitch through the wall. Really what he's doing is he's throwing the shell at it and is able to duck through in one smooth motion. TEEX now having to finish up 2-5. He had to go back and get that because of the Hammer Brother route, but he'll be able to get to the airship pretty quickly afterwards. Looks like all 3 players are actually going to be entering World 2 airship in pretty much the same time. We've got a tight race here. At this point, there's really not a whole lot to say. The auto-scroller is going to take these runners to Morton, who will be waiting with a 3-hit kill, of course. Of course, all of these players are definitely going to want to be going for the fire kill. As we said before, it's going to be a 2 to 3 second advantage if you're able to do that. Haxor's going to be taking just a brief moment to look for a fire flower if he can possibly get it here. We're going to be seeing just a little bit of difference in routing, and that's largely based on how the game actually produces it with the RNG. So when we say RNG, one of the things that means is it's random number generated. And what that means for our players is that whenever the random number comes up within the code, it actually will alter what happens for the gameplay. So whether that's in the Hammer Brother routes and movements, or if it's the way that the bosses react, as we were talking about that previously, it's anywhere from the exiting of the level before to any of the map movements, and even up until the actual boss in the tube. It will alter the way that it works. Now, a couple of the worlds will actually allow for a little bit more of a consistent strategy, and that's in like World 4, where they're able to take care of the Hammer Brothers early and actually before any of the other levels, thereby avoiding the extra movements on the map, and will allow them to have a little bit more of a consistent run, and we'll know what they're expecting when it comes to that. We're going to be moving into World 3 here. We'll be entering World 3-1. It's a water level, and it takes a little bit of time to get through, but all of our players are going to be going on the top route. It should be allowing them to get a little bit more P speed to kind of allow them to almost fly over the second part of this level. There is a little bit of a trick I just found out about the other day, which is really a lot of fun to watch. In the very first frame of this level, if you can press A there, you can get a jump, which saves just a very brief amount of time, but it's a lot of fun to see as Mario is able to jump basically over the water and enter in just a little bit further up. We're getting some praying hands in the chat for 3-2. It's definitely scary to see. This is a game ender, a race ender, if you will, in a lot of ways. We currently have TEEX working his way through the Cheep Cheeps. He's able to hold on to his P-Speed all the way through. Well done, TEEX. We currently have TheHaxor and Stewie Cartman going through as well. Stewie having a little bit of issue with the Cheep Cheeps. Going to have to get up. He is going to lose that P-Speed, but should be able to. Yes, he does. He's able to get through those enemies. Well done by all three of our runners. Fantastic job. That is not an easy level to get through. These guys make it look easy. 3-3 is definitely a fun level for P-Speed strats. Once you start running, you're basically able to get that full meter as soon as you cross over the first small gap, and that allows you to keep the measured jumps going as you're hopping from each consecutive space, and really it just makes it a lot easier. So long as you keep ahead of the big boss pass there, you're not going to have to worry about it. Stewie Cartman taking the P-Switch strat there. No big deal. A little bit of assurance there, and he's able to get through no problem. TEEX now moving on to World 3, Fortress 1. He's going to be burning through here really quick. Door number 6 is the one we're looking for, and he finds it no problem. Haxor right on his tail, finishing off the Boom Boom with no problems at all. Stewie Cartman opting to take the door 3 route. Basically what happens there is you have one frame where you're able to hit up as soon as you go through the door. If you make it correctly, then you're able to get 3.5 seconds or so shaved off your time. If not, you do have to swim back to the shore, go back through the 2, and then take door 6 as Stewie has just done. And he'll be making his way through 3F1, no big deal at all. Both runners now making their way to World 3-5. They have Haxor and TEEX have both taken on a P-Wing as they have opted to bypass the majority of this level and decided to just fly through it and take no time at all getting through there. Stewie Cartman now doing the exact same thing. He'll be taking the P-Wing, getting a little bit of speed here. You will see the guys take a little bit of time just to run on whatever surface they possibly can, even with the P-Wing. So the P-Strats and the P-Speed actually works just a little bit strange in the way that it works. So as you're running with a tail, or as you're running with like a P-Wing, your flying will start off relatively quick and will quickly slow down as you're running with it. So we saw all 3 of the runners take on 3-5 as they were able to use a P-Wing and actually Magic Wing, I should say, and actually were able to burn through a level really, really quick. And then they went ahead and took a damage boost on 3-4, as we'll see Stewie Cartman do here. And that allows him to keep his P-Speed a lot quicker and a lot more fluid, so he's able to run through quicker on this level. TEEX and TheHaxor currently on World 3-6. They're going to be waiting on this auto-scroller. And this one's kind of a fun one. It's a little bit of a cooldown for our players as they're able to manipulate the screen a little bit, kind of change some of the colors of some of the objects that are on the screen. Really, the only thing to worry about on this last part of the level is the possibility of getting thrown off the spinner and into the abyss. Some runners will opt to take a jump off the red turtle or the paratrooper that's flying up and down, or they'll opt to jump over the spinner and come down on the other side, thereby going into the tube and finishing off the level. This is definitely a you hate to see it moment if any of these runners do miss this jump at the end, as it will take a long time for them to get back on this, and hopefully no issues with that. We haven't seen any with TEEX or TheHaxor yet. Definitely don't want to jinx it, and these guys should be on to World 3-7 here in just a moment. Looks like TEEX and TheHaxor both making their way through. The P-Speed on this is super incredible with the way that everything is perfectly timed. It's pretty straightforward, but the 3 hops up to the clouds just really takes a lot out of this level, and it really allows for a lot of the lag to be reduced. There's a lot of enemies that pop up, and as you're falling down from the clouds, there is the possibility that, you know, you could take some lag, you could take some issues with that. But of course, none of these players having any issue with that at all. TEEX and TheHaxor currently working through 3F2. And Stewie Cartman will be joining them in just one moment. TEEX having to go the old-fashioned route, so TheHaxor's going to be able to gain just a little bit of time on him with this one. Both TEEX and TheHaxor are going to be moving on to World 3-8 here, nearly synchronized at this point, as both players seek to contend with the Big Boss Bass. Now this is one of the few levels where P-strats just aren't going to help you. The speed factor here just isn't going to be a factor here until the very end, because there's just not enough room anywhere in the level to actually be able to get enough speed to start jumping through. So you just jump through the water as quickly as possible and you make it work. TheHaxor taking a turn back there, that way he doesn't have to take the 3 stars and wind up with a 5-second cutoff because of that. Both players working on 3-9. I used to love this level when I was a kid because it was a chance for me to get infinite lives, or 99 as that was what the game allowed. TEEX having just a little bit of an issue with the H jump. He will have to go through the old-fashioned route. The players are definitely looking for the H route if possible. That's jumping over the H, and that takes a couple of seconds off that run.
All right, I'm going to pop in here just with a donation. We had $15 from Raccoon Dog 24 FPS. No comment on that one, but I just wanted to bring an update to our total as well. That puts us at $2,895.55. That means we're almost within the $100 mark of our $3,000 goal. So that is absolutely amazing, guys. Thank you so much.
Well done, everybody. That is a fantastic interruption. We definitely appreciate those. And you know what? I mean, we're doing a 100% race. I think we can get $100 in a 100% race. What do you guys think? And I got to tell you what, if I got to hype you up for a race like this, we're in trouble, because this is one of the greatest runs ever. I mean, a Super Mario Bros. 3 race, 100%. We're going to see all the strategies come out. We're going to see all the routes come out. We're going to see even down to the item maintenance and the item inventory. It's going to be incredible. I mean, and if you're looking for a better race to donate, I mean, don't wait for another one. It's going to be amazing. And if you need any more incentive to possibly want to donate for this, I mean, the Game Over Cancer is a wonderful fundraiser. It's going to support a wonderful cause. It's going to the Canadian Cancer Society. They're going to do great work with it. I highly recommend it. And if that's not enough, Colt just pointed out in chat, break the tracker, since we can't update it for several hours when Strizer wakes. So do it. Make it happen. Make Strizer have the best news possible that his tracker broke because he didn't put it high enough. I believe in you guys. Let's do it. All 3 players. I have 4 screens on my computer. I don't know what I'm doing here anymore. All 3 players able to make it through World 3's airship here pretty quick. They were able to take out Wendy no problem, and they're going to be working on World 4. We did have a lead change there towards the end with the inability for TEEX to finish off the Boom Boom with a Fire Flower, and then on to 3-9 where he wasn't able to make the H jump, instead had to get the power up there. We did have a lead change where TheHaxor is now in the lead. Moving on to 4-1, this is a fun one to try to get your P-speed on. Typically what you'll see there is either players will take the first red turtle shell they can get, and will actually run into the second one with it as they're flying up and out of the waterfall there to take the upper route. Or players will sometimes take a little bit of a slower route, but not enough to really time, and that's just using a fireball to take out the red turtle shell, to not even worry about it. Stewie Cartman opting to take on the red turtle shell, unfortunately lost some momentum as he was unable to get through the turtle shell and into the waterfall, but not slowing him down much. TheHaxor onto one of the most aesthetically pleasing routes of this game. He is going to use a P strat all the way through. Every jump timed, every jump absolutely perfect, and he'll be blowing through this without any issues at all. TEEX going to see if he can replicate that, go through the P speed strat. Don't try saying that 3 times fast, I don't recommend it. And he is going to be able to do the exact same thing, blow through this level and make his way through to the next one. TheHaxor now working on 4F1. He'll be going through here pretty quick. We sometimes do see runners take a star through this one just to kind of lessen some of the danger within this, especially a rogue hotfoot. Can actually give you some issues in this one. We'll see TEEX take the star. Said, you know what, I'm going to play this one just a little on the safe side, make sure I don't have any issues to worry about, as that window is super tight to get through. TheHaxor currently working on 4-4. An increasingly popular strat is to do a double kill on the Lakitu at the very beginning, and that is, after you've jumped off the first part, and that will actually cause the Lakitu to not spawn anymore, actually saving a couple of frames as you don't have to deal with any spinies coming down. Unfortunately, TEEX taking some damage as he goes for that double kill there. So he will have to find another Fire Flower at some point soon. Stewie Cartman finishing up for Fortress 1, so he'll be moving on to 4-4 as well. And TheHaxor finishing off these Boomerang Brothers, the third and final one, actually ran to his spot, so he's going to be able to finish all 3 of those off and then move on to 4-5. TEEX having just a little bit of trouble with the routing there. He had a Boomerang Brother that was inaccessible, and the other one was on the top side. Unfortunately, he ended up going to the top, and will now have to see what he can do to make the Hammer Brother come to him. Unfortunately, it's going to take a 4 path and go straight back down, where he'll have to use a cloud just to help with the RNG throughout this, with the RNG manipulation.
All right, so we actually got a few more donations after that point. We had Earth Melon with $10 that says, "My mom says hi to TheHaxor. Best of luck to all the runners." Zero Wolf 42 donated $4.45. Manix86 donated $3.55 with the comment "Good night, Strizer," and Zopdash with an additional $5. So we're coming real close to our goal here, guys. This is absolutely amazing.
Keep up the great work, everybody. And if you continue to donate, I will do my best to actually call the Sludge Bros, as they are actually called in the game, because you are absolutely right, Fricty. I apologize for that. Thank you for calling me out on it. Those are Sludge Brothers. They are the big, heftier brother of the Hammer Bro, and are scary nonetheless. We see TheHaxor currently moving on to the airship of World 4. He has definitely taken the lead in this and has solidified it, and will be making his way through World 4 here in just a moment. This is one of the longest airships in the game, taking about 2 minutes to get through. In fact, it is actually the longest, and will take just a moment for our runners to do that. If you do need a break at this point, I highly recommend it. You don't want to miss any more of the action, and this is a good time to do it. I do recommend also, while you're taking your break, to go ahead and run on over to the channels and support all 3 of these runners. They do a lot of Super Mario Bros. 3 stuff. I highly recommend checking them out, giving them a follow, giving them some support, some love, and definitely let them know how much you appreciate this run tonight. It is all good. We're going to be moving on to World 5 here in just a moment. The first level is definitely iconic to me. It was always one I appreciated, because it was the first chance for us to see the certain enemies in the game, and we're actually going to see quite a few within World 5 and it's definitely going to be a good one to start with. The P-Speed strats within World 5.1 really are non-existent for the most part. There is a potential of getting the P-Speed strat at the very end, but it's really just not going to make a whole lot of difference once you're on the flat ground. All three of our players currently working on the airship. TheHaxor finishing it up, so he'll be dropping to the castle here in just a moment, where he'll be taking on World 5. TEEX now on to Iggy. He'll be taking on a Fire Kill Hill real quick, no big deal. The wand will drop and he'll be headed to World 5 as well. Stewie Cartman on his tail also. As we see the TheHaxor jumping into World 5.1, we're going to see him very carefully avoiding these nippers, as they do like to nip at your heels and try to get some damage in. 2 shots at the very end will allow him to get the P-Speed and do a turn back in time to get the mushroom and still avoid the nipper there. I wish I had something good to say about 5.2, and that is, I'm glad when it's over. Because 5.2 actually has a lot of an issue where if you fall at the very beginning, and a lot of new players will fall into this, I'm not naming any names, but Growlwolf, I've seen him do this a number of times. He'll fall down past the, that's me, I'm picking on myself right now. So that's really, they call it the fall of shame, because unfortunately the route itself actually takes about 16 seconds longer if you fall than if you were to hit the air block or the note block on the right time there and actually allow you to go to the upper route, which goes so much quicker, as you can tell by these runners. If you do fall and you decide to take a 100 coin fine to get restarted with it, it actually takes a long time for that as well, because the fall itself just takes so long, and then finding an enemy does actually take some time as well. But we're going to see all the players go to 5.1 here. They're basically just going as fast as they possibly can, making really educated jumps there, obviously, to avoid the womps and the orbs, and they'll be able to get through that without any troubles at all. Five 3 is a little bit of an unusual level for these players, or for this game, I should say, as level 3 likes to, or level 5.3 likes to start off going to the left before it turns back and goes back to the right. And as far as some of the levels go, this is actually one of the longest, just because you have to play almost a level full all the way to the left, drop through a tube, and then go all the way to the right. The hacks are doing an excellent job of being able to keep his P-Speed there, as that is actually kind of tricky to do. You have to really time your jumps just perfectly, as well as make sure that you're not avoiding or hitting any walls, anything like that. And even in the second part of this, you have to ensure that the piranhas along the bottom aren't stopping you, and you're able to run straight over that and then time it just right to get onto the tube to complete the rest of the run, as we see TEEX doing right here as well. The TheHaxor is currently working on the tower and is using a star here. This is kind of a popular strat with some of the speedrunners, just to have a little bit of assurance they hit the P-Speed strat like they're supposed to. And really the first 2 levels of this are actually the hardest part of it, the first 2 floors, I should say. So we'll probably see the TEEX88 here take the same, oh no, he has opted to go for the more meticulous route. He does have the P-Speed, and he'll be able to make it through without any issue at all. He'll be using that to get through the swamp, no big deal, has a little bit of a duck jump there, and he is on to the 3rd level of this. The Haxor making his way through 5-4 here really fast. Definitely straightforward in terms of execution. The first platform you're on is just long enough to get that P speed going, and then you're able to carry that on for the rest of it, just making sure that you've got the right jumps and avoiding the spinners that don't stop. We'll see TEEX make it through here using that same strat. Stewie Cartman now making his way through the tower here. Haxor are going to be moving on to World 5-6 here. We're going to be coming up on just another auto-scroller. We do have our first chance to see the parabeetles that we don't really see anywhere else in the run, but they are fun. They're a little iconic of this game in that whenever you jump on them, they will fly up for you. But other than that, that's about it. We're just going to be going through this auto-scroller here as all the players start to make their way to it. Stewie Cartman working on 5-5 here. Just a little bit of an issue with getting the P speed. Definitely hard to do and easy to lose. Some of the momentum can be lost when you run into walls and things like that. So well done. Still got through that super quick. Now we're going to see the Haxor move on to 5-7 as soon as the hammer row stops on him for him. TEEX now on to 5-6. He's going to be working on the parabeetles as well as Stewie Cartman. Both players just kind of biding their time, waiting. TEEX unfortunately taking some damage there, so he's going to have to find a fire flyer here at some point. So one of the things we're going to be looking for, especially in World 6, is that this really starts to get more and more involved and in-depth, are how is the Haxor going to lose this race? Because right now when you're watching this, you're watching and thinking, okay, the Haxor has this, obviously, right? And unfortunately, that's not the case. There are a number of levels here, and we'll be coming up in the next couple worlds that will alter the lead at any point. I mean, anytime a death is taken within a level, that could really offset the lead. Anytime that a clip is made on the first try and another runner is struggling a little bit with it, we'll see that in 7-1. 7-6 is pretty optimized so that players will be able to burn through that real quick. They'll just be able to fly over and not have to deal with it now. However, with 7-5, any amount of damage will take away the P-Wing. So really any small error in that can actually upset the balance. We saw Stewie Cartman taking a little bit of a wrong tunnel there, so he was able to jump into the boom boom fight and has now tied up with TEEX from what I can tell. And that's right, Colt. Even RNG could close the gap. Now, there is something to call out here that's kind of being mentioned here in just a little bit. No hands is actually beneficial in this run as well. Now, you're thinking, wait a second, we play all levels. How can no hands be a factor here? And then that's in World 8. Basically, what we're talking about is a World 8 hand animation that actually reaches up onto the map, grabs Mario, and pulls him into the level. Now, when I was a kid, that freaked me out, I'm not going to lie. But for our players, that actually takes out 1.5 seconds of animation every hand that comes up. So a no hands actually makes it easier because we will play the level manually, and as they go over and hit A, they're going to do that as quickly as possible, thereby avoiding that animation as much as they can. And I do apologize, TEEX is actually ahead. He's moved on to 5-9, while Stewie Cartman has to go back a little bit and finish off 5-7. No, that's not right. All three players are going to be finishing up 5-9 in World 5 here in just a moment. and they are going to be working on getting to World 6 here pretty quickly. World 6 is actually one of my favorite worlds. I love the whole layout. Lemmy is actually my favorite out of any of the Koopalings, and I think that might just mean I'm a glutton for punishment, I'm not sure, but he is definitely my favorite and is the best racer in Mario Kart 8. I'm just saying. So World 6 is going to start off with kind of a pretty tricky level as soon as these racers get started in it. So you want to build Peace Speed right off the bat by starting as far to the left of those ice platforms as you can get. So they're going to be running, taking a small hop to get up on that, and then once you land, you want to do a turn back after you've made your jump. You're going to want to do a turn back, and I'll try to point that out as soon as I see it. And you want to make sure that you don't outrun your fireball, because they're going to be shooting that into a Patooey, which is the greatest name ever, just saying. And you're going to want to take that out, and depending on where it's positioned, it will kind of give these runners an indication of where they're going to be jumping in order to land on the question mark blocks, as you won't actually be able to see that as they shoot the Patooey. So they're going to be using that as an indicator to kind of make sure they know exactly where they are in the map and making sure that they optimize the level as best they can. The hacks are able to blur through 6-1 without any issue at all. Stu Cartman currently working on World 5's airship. He's going to be working towards finding Roy here in just a moment, and TEEX able to finish that off as well. As Colt was asking previously, we were talking about the level changes and how can leaders changes. Stewie Cartman just shows us what can happen when a fight goes wrong, and that certainly can happen to anybody and can also be the result of, and can be a lead change as well. Folks, you hate to see it. TEEX taking on an early Hammer Bro here. He'll be able to get through that here pretty quickly and won't have to worry about that one. However, there are two more in this World 6 map that he will have to contend with. So he's going to be moving on to 6-3 and will be working his way through this platform. A little tricky, but not too difficult to manage. Peace Speed strats here are a little bit tricky, but really it's just platform placement and ensuring that you don't miss jump or miss time anything. TheHaxor currently making his way through 6-2. Pretty much nothing going on here except for some clouds and some platform jumping. So we will check back in with him in just a moment. Meanwhile, Stewie Cartman is finishing off Roy, taking care of business, and moving on to 6 here in just a moment to join the other racers. Once again, as we are working on these auto-scrollers, I'd like to remind you that all proceeds and donations will be going to the Canadian Cancer Society as they seek to not only stomp out, but also to game over cancer. Game overs are not something that you want to see in your games, but it's definitely something you want to see in cancer. So donate because it's going to a great cause, and we cannot recommend this highly enough. We are almost, from last we heard, we're about $100 away from hitting that $3,000 mark. I fully believe you guys can do it. I fully believe in the donations here. Make them, you're donating to a great cause. Highly recommend it. And let's get 100 and 100%. What do you guys think?
Well, we actually do have a couple more small donations. We had Zero Wolf 42 with another $1.14, and we had Procky who donated 500 bits. And like you said, we are actually $2,919.69. So we are about $80 away from our $3,000 goal, and to break our current goal while Strizer is sleeping. So we're definitely getting there, guys. This is so close.
That sounds like hype to me. Teek's currently working on his World 6 F1, and he's going to be able to burn through there real quick. I actually found out a really cool part of information here, and maybe this is just because I'm a nerd, I don't know. But what's actually really interesting about this is Boom Boom reacts differently when the fight goes on with World 6 F1. And that's because Boom Boom is not used to being taken down so quickly. He actually doesn't have a quote-unquote kill state. So whenever you see like the Goombas and things like that, they disappear after doing their animation. And even in all the other fights, the Boom Boom will actually react and he'll start to change colors before finally producing his orb. However, when you take him out with a star, the game basically doesn't expect it. And instead of his HP going from 37 to 32, it actually drops all the way to, as far as anybody can tell, 0. Which then immediately causes him to despawn. He just disappears completely, and the orb pops up upside down in the middle of the screen. A little bit of tidbit of information there for you. All these runners are going to be going on to a little bit of a tricky level here, in that the water level here does not like to be forgiving, but the majority of these players will play it with a small Mario, as it's a less of a chance to get hit by these massive amounts of Cheeps as well as the piranhas. Going fast enough here does actually allow that first piranha to despawn before anything can happen, and that's exactly what TEEX was able to do there. Stewie Cartman showing off a little bit of strats in the 6F1. This is how they got the super small Mario, and he's going to be able to burn through this real quick. He'll get the star here as well, and these players obviously don't mind going a small Mario, as they're able to burn through this level super fast. We're going to find TheHaxor on World 6-7, which is an auto-scroller, and he's going to be working through this, as we have TEEX going to be joining him in just a moment. Was already able to take care of those Hammer Brothers, so doesn't have to worry about that here now. And then, of course, Stewie Cartman doing his best to join up, as he's going to be moving on to World 6, Level 6 as well. Currently, we have TEEX and TheHaxor still working on World 6-7 auto-scroller. Meanwhile, Stewie Cartman burning through World 6-6 as quickly as possible. He'll be able to finish this off here in just a moment after avoiding the last spike there. Going to be moving on to World 6-2. So for the second Fortress of World 6, this is a level that normally can get a little tricky, but you're going to see here the TheHaxor is actually flying underneath the level, and is going to be able to pop up further on into the level, take a damage boost there to ensure that his P-speed is not altered at all by using a tail. And then he's going to be into the fight with Boom Boom here very quickly. TEEX opting to use the exact same strat, which turns out to be a little bit quicker, and he'll be joining the fight with Boom Boom here in just a moment as well. Stewie Cartman now having just a little bit of issue. He decided not to use the P-Wing here, and has opted to go back to go back into the level, and he's going to have to fly up at the opportune time and bring a turtle shell with him, I believe. If you do go fast enough on this level, you are able to despawn one of the nippers. Unfortunately, he's going to have to take the old-fashioned route of using a turtle shell to get through it. TEEX now able to get the P-speed here on 6-8. And this level is kind of a make or break in some regard. If you can get the P-speed strat going really quick, obviously you're able to burn through it really fast, as we've just seen TEEX do it. But if the nippers or if the white block don't play along as they're supposed to, you do have the unfortunate experience of having to go through the level a little bit slower, which can take a few seconds. With this being a 100% run, the players have to play obviously a lot more of the levels, including the Hammer Bros, and they do find themselves with an extra P-Wing. So the players are going to be using the P-Wing on 6-9 to simply fly over the level and not have to worry about it. Since they do have the wing from that, as we see TEEX currently doing now, he's going to be using the fly pattern just to be able to fly up, grab that fire flower, thereby not losing any P-Speed, thereby the game thinking that he still has P-Speed. He's going to be able to continue that as he clips through and is able to finish off the level there. The TheHaxor moving on to the elevator of Fort 6F3, and he's going to be using the elevator kind of to his advantage as he gains P-Speed here, enters into the fight, and will be able to hurriedly get to Boom Boom, where he's able to take him down with a fire kill, which is of course 5 fireballs, and finish that off quickly. TEEX going to be catching up here in just a moment. He'll be waiting on the elevator before he takes on his fight with Boom Boom as well. Stewie Cartman currently working on the auto scroller. We'll be going through that here for just a moment. The TheHaxor currently working on the World 6 airship. We are going to be finding my favorite Koopaline here at the end of this one with the World 6 airship, and that is Lemmy. Meanwhile, Stewie Cartman now taking on Fort 6F3. He'll be running through this. I apologize, Fort 6F2. He'll be running through this one, loses his tail as the others have as well, and will be hurriedly getting to his fight with Boom Boom. As we're currently working on Airship 6 and awaiting the fight with Lemmy, I would like to take a moment to remind you to follow the runners. You can find them on their Twitch channels, and I believe we can get those up here in the chat in just a moment. They do appreciate the love, they appreciate the support, and we appreciate you all for donating. Thank you, Colt and Raccoon Dog 24 FPS. We definitely appreciate that. Go ahead and run on over, give them a follow real quick, and we'll be here when you get back. The TheHaxor opting to take a jump there. He decided to take a jump kill. There is a way you can do a fire kill there, and it does require you to take small jumps to be on the same level as Lemmy, as we will see TEEX do here. They are both able to finish him off super quick and move on to World 7. We're going to be moving on to World 7 here and World 7-1. And we have an exciting announcement for you all.
Hello, everyone. So we actually just received some donations. The first one was $10 from Mellow Flows. No comment on that. We received a $35 donation from Shamrock saying, "Amazing race. Let's hit this goal before they hit theirs. We're so close." And then immediately we had a $212.79 donation from Mem Arden saying, "Head to donate 100 for each of my boys. Let's go. Game over cancer." And with that, guys, that is actually putting us at $3,177.94. We're almost $200 past our goal now. This is absolutely insane. We cannot update this right now. Strizer is the only one who is actually able to. So we will have to keep breaking this as much as we possibly can until Strizer wakes up to do his run tomorrow morning. So thank you so much, guys. This is absolutely amazing. You guys are incredible, and we wouldn't be able to do this stuff without you. It's going towards a great cause, and like the support has been absolutely phenomenal. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Thank you so much, and let's see how far we can actually take this.
All I heard was keep breaking the meter. I mean, you guys, wow, way to step up and continue to support. I mean, wow, just wow. Like, I am so hyped up right now. This run is outstanding. TEEX managing to get that clip super early. TheHaxor having just a little bit of an issue with it on 7-1. And now TEEX is looking to close the gap here. We'll see if he can continue to close this gap on TheHaxor throughout World 7. Also, just because you guys hit 3K doesn't mean you're done. We want to keep breaking this so that Strizer has like a huge headache when he wakes up, and it's going to be the best kind of headache. So keep up the great work. This race is going to keep getting tighter and tighter as the Haxor and TEEX seek to duke it out, and Stewie is going to be coming back as much as he possibly can throughout this. All three great runners, all three producing a really, really solid race, and I'm excited to see how this plays out. Let's go. Stewie has taken a little bit of an option to move just a little bit further right, and that may not look like an awful lot, and that may actually look like, oh no! The Haxor has just taken a third star. Folks, you hate to see it, but that is now going to be nearly the difference in the lead that the Haxor had. He is only hanging on by just seconds now at this point. Stewie Cartman, as we were talking about earlier, he's going to have to be a little, or he's actually not going to have to be careful anymore. He does have 44, so as we talked about earlier with the airship, or with the Hammer Brothers turning into a coin ship, this is where you would have to be concerned about that as he starts to make his way through 7-1 with the clip. But there are actually not going to be any further Hammer Brothers, so of course nothing to worry about there, as nothing can turn into a coin ship. Just wanted to point that out, as that is how that would work typically. Both the Haxor and TEEX currently making their way through the most loved and amazing level in this game. It is wonderful, and I mean that completely sarcastically. This level is terrifying because the fish that spawn are RNG based. So it is possible to get cornered in at some points or get surprised at the very last moment as you're trying to exit the level. Ideally, you want to focus on maintaining your raccoon tail for the remainder of the level so it can be used for the Piranha level and for Fort 7, or for 7 Fort 1, which is affectionately known as Fort Knox. So we're going to be seeing that here in just a couple of moments. Unfortunately, the Haxor did lose that tail. If TEEX is able to keep his tail until Fort 1 of World 7, we're going to see a lead change here. Both players are now going to be making their way onto the Piranha level. Haxor opting to take a star to the Piranha, as he's not really wanting to deal with their shenanigans today, and I can't say I blame him. TEEX is doing the exact same. So at this point, the Haxor and TEEX have both made it to the Fort 7F1, except the Haxor is actually going to have to come back for it because he opted to go ahead and take the P-Wing to the next level of 7-6, and he's then going to have to come back and do 7F1. Not a bad play there by him, as he's able to take out one level without having to use any further or any more resources except for a Cloud, which TEEX ended up using in World 4. So we may not see much of a lead change here after all. TEEX opting to take the P-Wing here. He'll be able to fly up to the very top of the world 7-6, and he'll be able to finish this level off real quickly as well. Both players making their way to the third island. This is getting close, folks. Haxor going to be taking a damage boost to get through there. It won't matter all that much as he's able to use a star to get through the rest of the level here. TEEX now working on 7-9, and he'll be using a P-Wing to get to the top, and then we'll go through the rest of the level here normally as expected. Haxor now opting to go back to 7-7. He will not attempt a clip. There is a possibility of a subpixel clip there. If you were to get P-speed, then you can jump onto the very corner, and that does buy just a little bit of time as you're able to clip through the entire level as opposed to going through here. A first try clip will save about 17 seconds. Anything less than that and you're just virtually wasting time. 2 and 3 attempts are about all that's expected, as any more than that will actually start to lose you time. TEEX going for the clip here now. Unfortunately does not make it, so decides to just go through the lovely old-fashioned way. TheHaxor now equipping his magic wing, so he'll be going through 7-9 as well, just as we saw TEEX do a moment ago. Meanwhile, Stewie Cartman finishing his level off and will be joining on to the next one. Stewie Cartman now onto the second island, and he'll be going through the piranha level with a star as well, thereby saving any issues with attacks or keeping his defenses up. TEEX looking like he's going to go for a Hammer Brothers strat. Now this could be interesting to see how it plays off for him. If he's able to save this all the way to the Bowser's Castle, he will get a kill just a little bit quicker than a Fire Flower would. So this is going to be really interesting. If he's able to keep this to the end, we might have a change of leader at the very end. Folks, this race cannot get any closer. TheHaxor currently finishing 7-4-2, and TEEX hot on his tail as he's doing the exact same. He's going to be on to his fight with Boom Boom here in just a moment. Take out a dry bone first so he doesn't have to worry about it. And now he's on to his fight with Boom Boom as well. That's going to be a quick hammer kill there, and he is through. Meanwhile, TheHaxor able to take on his second Piranha Fort, or second Piranha level, and he'll be on to the airship where Ludwig von Kulpa is waiting. TEEX now able to get through the Piranha level just as quickly and will be moving on. Hot on the tail of TheHaxor. He is looking to make this a race. That's right, Colt. There is a Hammer Brother power-up. It is arguably the best power-up in the game. Maybe just shy of the Starman. The only issue, though, is that the Starman does run out. Hammer Brother does not until you take damage. So the Hammer Brother is interesting as it is able to one-shot kill anything, including a Boom Boom and Bowser himself. So we're going to be seeing a potential for a early Bowser kill, which might just be the difference between these two runners. Folks, this is going to come down to the milliseconds, and you do not want to miss this. I promise you, you don't want to miss this. As pointed out in the chat, it is definitely a risky move that TEEX is doing here now. But if there's one thing we like, it's excitement, and that is being brought here. What was noted is that a Hammer Brothers suit obviously is tangible, and you only get one shot with it. If you do lose it, it's gone. You're done. So these players are, well, especially TEEX, is opting to not take any more damage through the rest of World 7, which he's now on the auto-scroller of World 7's airship, which is featuring Ludwig. So he's saying that he doesn't think he's going to take any damage between now and Bowser's Castle. I hope he gets it. TheHaxor is currently moving on to the Ludwig, who is waiting expectedly for him. Decides to take a 3-jump shot at him as opposed to going for a fire kill there. Meanwhile, Stewie Cartman working on 7-9 is going for the clip route. Decides not to take the P-Wing. And he's going to be going for a mid clip there, does not get it, so he'll take the higher route, take just a moment to get through that. Unfortunately, TEEX losing the Hammer Brother there. That's unfortunate. He will have to pick up another Fire Flower here at some point. Still going to be a close race, but he's going to have to make a little bit of difference here. And we might see that on World 8's Bowser Castle still. There's a couple of clips that could alter this change still, or could alter the leader still. Stewie Cartman making his way through 7F2 here. TEEX making his way to World 8, and TheHaxor making his way through the tanks. We got ourselves a race, folks. We're going to have a couple of auto-scrollers here that's going to be followed by a couple of World 8 levels. Those are definitely scary, and thankfully there's only 2 of them. But we're going to be taking on a couple of auto-scrollers between the Army with the tanks, and then we're going to see the Navy come through with the ships that we have to go through. And when I was a kid, I used to love playing under the level of the Navy because you could swim just underneath them and not have to take any damage or worry about it. But obviously that's not the route these guys are going to take. They're going to blow through it like it's nothing. Stewie Cartman now starting his battle with Ludwig von Koopa as he boards the World 7 airship. TEEX currently working through the tanks as well, going to be opting for a power-up here, finds himself a tail. TheHaxor getting here closer to the end, will be just doing everything he can to keep himself from taking any damage. The Fire Flower being increasingly important here, and will obviously mean a lot as he gets into some Boom Boom fights and some Hammer Brother fights. TheHaxor able to take out the Hammer Brother, or the Boomerang Brother, without any issue at all there. TEEX will be entering the tube for the fight here in just a moment as he approaches the last of the tanks here, which of course has the tunnel, or the pipe that takes him into the fight. Meanwhile, Stewie Cartman working to finish off his race as well, or the airship as well in World 7. TEEX now joining TheHaxor on Navy. He'll be working through this as quickly as possible. And as soon as we get through this one, we're now going to be entering the World 8 hands. Now this could be a little bit of a chance for the TEEX to come back. Now obviously this is completely out of his control. So any hand that comes up as an animation is going to take approximately a half second in order for it to come up and do its animation. Also, because of all the enemies and everything in there, there is a small possibility that you could take damage with this run as well. There's a whole bunch of stuff that can go on. Even though it looks like TheHaxor is about a half level ahead in this, and with it being an auto-scroller, that actually says quite a bit. But it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out to the very, very end. Folks, I would not change your browser settings at all. You do not want to miss this. TheHaxor now able to break the lock, and he's going to be moving on to the next part. Folks, what do you think? 1, 2, or 3 hands? TheHaxor currently not getting the first hand. We'll see if TEEX is able to replicate that as well. Yropsily's going for 9 hands. He's hoping for 3 apiece. Unfortunately, you're already out because there is only going to be a possibility of 8 more hands. Okay, TheHaxor getting a hand, and TEEX getting his first hand. We are currently up to 2 out of a possible 9. TheHaxor taking a death. Oh, you hate to see it. TEEX now may be able to get a little bit of a heads up here. He is going to be able to get into the second, opening the inventory there for some reason though. I don't know if he was opting to take a star there or not, but did not take the second hand. Meanwhile, TheHaxor did get his third and final, so he had 2 hands, and we will see if TEEX has that as well, or if he winds up with only 1. TheHaxor taking a Fire Flower there, that way he's well equipped for what the next levels have in store for him. Both players, TheHaxor and TEEX, are going to be moving on to the Air Force, and they're going to be going through this auto-scroller. Whenever possible, the runners will want to take out as many rocky wrenches as they can, since the wrenches can linger on the screen, which makes platform jumping a little bit scarier and more complicated than it needs to be. So you're going to be watching as we play a game of whack-a-mole on the Air Force ships, as these two players make their way to get through with as little issues as possible. Unfortunately, the Haxor taking damage there, and they'll have to find a way to get another fire flower here quickly. Meanwhile, Stewie Cartman working on the tanks, and he'll be getting to the Boomerang Brother fight here in just a moment. The Haxor now entering his fight into Boom Boom right behind TEEX. Oh, folks, we have ourselves a lead change. Colt, I'm going to need you to update the audio because now we have TEEX in the lead by just a second, if that. But he is in the lead. Stewie Cartman currently working on the Navy. He's going to be running through that as quickly as possible. The Haxor opting to take a tail here. He's going to see if he can find that fire flower, and he does. He'll be a little bit behind TEEX now, as TEEX was able to get through the level on his first attempt. And now he is through. He's going to be moving on to 8-2 here in just a moment as the Haxor seeks to catch up. Not able to utilize the P-Speed strat, so he's going to have to go through with a little bit of a safer route. But he too is through as well. TEEX taking a upper path on the no block, so he's able to avoid the Angry Sun altogether. Meanwhile, the Haxor is going to be seeking to catch up as quickly as possible here. Had to take a little bit of a turn back to make sure that a Piranha Plant didn't grab him from below. Was able to get a great jump off the no block, and he's going to be finishing that as they both move on to World 8 Fortress. TEEX opting to take a star here to lessen the damage of the orbs. Stewie Cartman finishing off the Navy there, and will be joining us in the hands quickly. TEEX working his way through. He'll be looking for a one cycle here. Basically what that is he'll be running through as quickly as possible. He had the P-switch at the beginning there, and he gets the one cycle, so he'll be entering his fight with Boom Boom here in just seconds. Basically, as I was explaining, the one cycle is hitting the P-switch at the beginning and then running all the way to that door and entering the fight so that you don't have to go under, find another P-switch, and then enter the fight. TEEX now entering into the final tube where he'll be taking on the tank here, the second tank, the super tanks, and the Haxor, of course, doing the exact same. Stewie Cartman getting a hand there, and he'll be working on the cheap level, and we'll be getting through that here pretty quickly. Meanwhile, we're going to be on the super tanks for the next moment, or about the next minute, with TEEX and Haxor. Folks, we are still really super close here. This is anybody's game. Any of the clips that happened in Bowser's Castle are still up for play. Folks, this is still way too tight to call. Don't go anywhere. Stewie Cartman currently working on the game of Whack-A-Mole in Air Force. He'll be going through and taking out the rocket wrenches as quickly as possible, so that they don't cause any more trouble than they have to. TEEX and the Haxor are going to be entering Bowser's Castle here in just a moment, with TEEX finishing up his fight and the Haxor currently starting it. They're now going to be working on Bowser's Castle. There are three things that you'll want to notice. The first is if you clip the wall underneath the elevator. TEEX is currently stuck in between some lasers. He's going to have to reset. Oh, you hate to see it. TEEX going for a clip there to see if he could get through and further cause into the world, or into Bowser's Castle. He missed that clip, so he's actually going to have to go the long way around. Now the Haxor has actually taken the lead once again. Both players clipping to get into the lava room, and the Haxor is going to be making his way to Bowser's Castle, not taking any damage. That's going to be a fire kill from the Haxor. He has taken the lead. That is going to be the end of it, unless there is any kind of weird complication. there is not. He's going to be taking out Bowser here in just a moment. Remember, Bowser, or the time for SMP3 does end upon entering this door, which is going to open here in just a moment for the Haxor. Meanwhile, TEEX is able to take out the Fire Kill as well. Stewie Cartman currently working through F8, F2. He'll be breezing through that as well, and will be joining us in Bowser's Castle here in just a few minutes. The Haxor is your winner as he is able to find Princess Peach, who is not in another castle. She is here, and TEEX is going to be right behind him. Folks, get your GGs out for Haxor and for TEEX. What a great run. I mean, wow! Could it have been any closer? Stewie Cartman working on 8F1 and the only fortress on World 8, as the only other is Bowser's Castle. He is able to do the one cycle here. He'll be entering into the fight with Boom Boom here in just a moment, where of course the Fire Kill will be the preferred way of getting through this level. Folks, I tell you what, that was the most hype race I could have possibly expected and hoped for, and talk about a great race. Get your GGs out once again for TEEX and the Haxor. Stewie Cartman's going to be finishing this up here pretty quick. He's going to be taking a high road here, decided he doesn't want to play with any of the cannonballs. So he's actually going to be above the screen, which means that by the time the cannonballs would get to him, they're going to be despawned. So he's going to have to be careful here. No problem at all. He's going to jump to the top of the cannons and thereby avoid all damages there. Going to be taking rapid fire because it's fun to do, it's fun to say, and it's fun to see. He'll be getting through this rocket wrench alley here really quickly, and he'll be moving on to his final fight as well. Stewie going to be finishing off the super tanks here. We'll be joining Bowser's Castle here in just a moment as he seeks to save the princess this time as well. Stewie Cartman entering into his final fight with Boom Boom, where 5 fireballs is all it takes to get him on and to the Bowser's Castle. Stewie Cartman able to go above the laser. He is able to make the clip on the first try. You love to see that. He's going to be making his way up the stairwell. We'll be getting into the lava room by way of clip here as well. We'll see if he goes for the third and final clip here, which will clip you all the way to Bowser. Saves you a couple seconds if you jump in the very top right corner of that hall right there. Decides not to, as this is a pretty easy way to get through the platforms. He'll just do it super quick with the P-Speed strat. Now he's on to a fire kill as well from Bowser. He will be getting here in just a moment, and we'll have time called as soon as he enters into that door. Let's go, Stewie. Ladies and gentlemen, please get your GGs out for Stewie Cartman as he is able to finish up. And that is going to be time. Well done, all of our runners. GGs all around. Talk about a fantastic race. This was a wonderful, wonderful race. Folks, this does not get any closer. As Colt pointed out, it was a 78-minute race, and it all came down, or a 72-minute race, I guess. It all came down to 8 seconds between the two runners. I mean, talk about the skill level, and we actually saw that at the very end. I mean, the little bit of an issue with the lasers not working out quite in TEEX's favor, all the way up to Haxor just having a wonderful clip at the end there. It's incredible. And, both of these players played it. All three of these runners, I should say, all three of these runners played a fantastic game. And, I mean, a 1:15.55 is still an outstanding time. All three of these racers just a fantastic job of this run and really exhibiting what we love to see in the SMB community. I mean, SMB3 is is a wonderful game. It's full of wonderful racers. What a fantastic race. I mean, I am so hyped up. Like I'm supposed to be going to bed here soon, and I'm not going to be able to do it. Like talk about what a fantastic race, folks. If you liked what you saw, go ahead and give those racers a follow. They're going to really appreciate it. Go tell them how much you appreciated the run. Tell them GG. Tell them thanks for the run. We definitely appreciate the support. I mean, to hit $3,000 and then blow it out of the water is just wow. I mean, you guys are awesome. I want to give a shout out to the chat here. Thank you so much for being a part of this whole stream, this whole process. Thank you so much for Strizer86 for putting this on. I'm so glad that we were able to blow your donation chart out of the water. Keep up the great work. We're going to be going on to Contra 3 here in just a little bit, but I am going to now toss you back over to our host. Thank you, everyone.